Assalamualaikum to Professor Madia Dr. HASNAH, and hi, we would like to present case 2, SOGO Department Store, Hong Kong, which is integrating environmental sustainability into a retail store operation. We are from Group 5. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is SHUHAINI Binti SHUHAINI 255679, and another team member is LOOI Hakimah, SITI NURAIN, and SITI NURTASNIM. I will give a overview about the executive summary. SOGO Department Store is a subsidiary of listed company of Hong Kong Exchange that is providing guideline of ESG reporting. Michael, as a committee of ESG, deeply take into consideration to incorporate environmental sustainability into all aspects of the company area, responsibilities such as in-house operation and product sales. The major problem concern in aspect of involvement of stakeholders that affect incompleteness in materiality assessment. Then the ESG report does not follow the guideline provided, thus the disclosure is not fully done. On the other hand, short-termism initiative where is a lack of involvement and differing level of attention. Eventually, there are two recommended solutions regarding to materiality assessment, which are stakeholder profile and materiality matrix. The issue of ESG reporting guideline, the solution view to disclose is apply, comply or explain provision for non-disclosed matter. Then alternative solution for the issue of environmental sustainability from short term to the long term by acceptability of business partner. Thus, it has two considerations in hiring an external environmental consultant or requiring all business partners. In order to handle this problem, each business partner come up with proposal to spread the sustainability consumption at workplace to consumer and lead by example. Okay, let's move to problem statement. First is materiality assessment incomplete, where not all stakeholders are involved in ESG matter. Out of 5 stakeholder engagement, only the company employees took part. As a company, it is important to question or ask all stakeholders in the issue of the sustainability report. The identification of the material aspect is done by employees through online survey. This could be in terms of employee favor only, and the decision of that survey only focus on aspect of the stakeholder that is best for them, not others. Different stakeholders have different view on what SOGO disclosure are material for them. SOGO just focus on the senior manager and employee to conduct in identifying material assessment, but external assessment should be considered in stakeholder engagement. Thus, it will be result in the second problem. The second problem is ESG report does not follow the guideline. The flow of ESG reporting after setting up the ESG group is stakeholder engagement. However, not majority participant. Thus, it is shown guideline could not be followed before any result of materiality assessment exercise. At the same time, lack of reinforcement capacity to engage the full organization and enable organization to meet the growing information needs of their various stakeholders. Then, the disclosure is not fully disclosed. Furthermore, this will be a decreased transparency to build the vital relationship of trust with key partners. The SOGO did not truly investigate area out of their control. Measures remain, especially in an area where the company had less direct control. The last problem is short-termism initiative of environmental sustainability conducted like one-off campaign around organic and vegetarian food and reusable shopping bags. This is less reflection in attempt to create some interest and gain awareness to educate sustainability consumption on the circular economy in the long term. The initiative cannot solve the environmental issue in just several campaigns. Moreover, short-termism pragmatic action that fit with economic and political imperative but fail to address meaningful the ecological imperative That's all from me. I will pass to Ain.
Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is SITI FADZIL with MATRIC number 255666. I will continue on the causes of problem part. So, the first problem is materiality assessment. Following the guideline from HKAX, SOGO has to require the involvement of business partner, community, employees, customer, and shareholders. But SOGO not involve employees in the engagement. For instance, SOGO has conducted the online survey with one of the shareholders and the employees. So, this will cause SOGO to produce the accurate representation of all staff, since not all of the staff are convenient with the online survey. Proceed to the next problem, which is ESG report do not follow the guideline. ESG reporting guideline require comply and explain, but SOGO did not comply the guideline since they did not explain that the provision is not material with the business. If the requirement to comply or explain is not material to the company, it would be easier to explain that non-disclosure been made. Next is on the short-term initiative on environmental sustainability. The problem arises when Michael Sang has two contradictory job scopes, where she, as the deputy of store manager, she needs to manage the business partner and make sure the company will maximize the profit. Besides that, she, as the ESG committee, where she needs to consult with business partner for long-term sustainability concerns plan, and it will incur more costs. Other than that, each of the vendors have differing level of sustainability concerns, so it will be more difficult to gather the vendors' information. So that's all from me.
Hi, my name is NURTASNIM and ZAKHIR. My MATRIC number is 256290. Today I will present about the decision criteria, alternative solution, and the recommended solution for the problem 1, which is the incomplete reporting of the materiality assessment. So, as we can see, our decision criteria is based on the complement with the Hong Kong Stock Exchange requirement. So, SOGO must follow the ESG reporting guideline in assessing materiality of each topic. Regarding the first problem, SOGO must follow the materiality assessment guidelines provided by ESG reporting guide, as I mentioned just now, in order to determine how material the topics to the business and stakeholders. So, other than that, the implication of not compliance with ESG reporting guide is significant to the listed company under Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Since some of the stakeholders are influential to the sustainability environment, they are expecting all organizations to exercise ESG activities in the business operation. So this expectation is considered as significant issues that will impact the company reputation. Okay, next, alternative solution for the problem 1. So there are two alternative solutions that you can see in the screen. First is exercising shareholder profile, and second one is using materiality matrix. So what is shareholder profiles? So in the stakeholder profiles, we can know the objective of each of group of stakeholders that have in the SOGO. For example, consumers, community, employees, shareholders. Other than objective, we can see their engagement of each group how is the level of engagement impact the company. So next is using materiality matrix. Okay, the information from stakeholder profiles is used to assess the materiality level by using materiality matrix. What is materiality matrix? Materiality matrix is basically to classify the key topics according to the impactful factors to business and shareholders. Okay, next is recommended solution for the problem 1. As you can see in the slides, we recommend SOGO to use the materiality matrix in order to access the materiality in ESG report. So according to the ESG reporting guide, materiality assessment must consider all the stakeholders' preference by knowing their profiles and using materiality matrix as suggested by the ESG reporting guide. So based on the materiality matrix as shown in the slides, each of the quadrants refers to the level of materiality that is influenced by the two factors, which are impact on stakeholders and impact on business. So the impact here refers to the sustainability environment issues in the Habit 2 that is implemented in the business. This matrix is answering the question on how issues related to sustainability affect the stakeholders and business itself. So the materiality matrix assessments indirectly helps SOGO management to identify the list of material ESG topics that are specific to the organization. So as you can see, there is an example of the topic is health and safety. You can see this topic is on the ESG report guides. So the topic of health and safety is very significant to the external stakeholders such as consumers. As you can see, consumers require protections when acquire a product in SOGO, especially in SOGO stores. So next factors is internal factor. So employees especially have to work in the safe environment. So this is under the health and safety topics. Hence, this health and safety topic is on the quadrant 1. As you can see, you can see that the health and safety issue is very material to all stakeholders and the business as well. So that this topic is in the quadrant 1. In other words, the diagrams here or the materiality matrix illustrates how the position of each ESG topic represents the importance to the issuer or the disclosure on the ESG reporting itself. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Hakimah Hamzah and my matric number is 252602. I will proceed my explanation on the design criteria, alternative solution and recommended solution for problem number 2, which is ESG. SOGO ESG report does not follow the ESG reporting guideline in disclosure of information provided by Hong Kong Exchange. So the main criteria for this solution is to see the level of compliance with Hong Kong Exchange requirement. There are two alternative solutions that can be considered to resolve the problem, which are the first is to comply with the comply or explain provision, and the second one is to not comply with the comply or explain provision. For environmental sustainability, disclosure of information need to be done for 3 aspects, which are the first one is emission, the second one is use of resources, and the third one is natural resources and environment. Hong Kong Exchange require company to disclose information for each aspect on these three areas, which are the first one is policy, the second one is compliance with related law and regulation, and lastly on the KPI. SOGO need to set the target in order to evaluate the effectiveness on environmental policy. However, flexibility was given where the company required the company to disclose information only for targets for KPI A15, A16, A23, and A24 on the comply or explain basis. The disclosure of target for this KPI need follow the SMART target where information need to disclose specifically, measurable, attainable, relevant, and has a time bound. But the company may also set target for all KPI that are material to them. If the information are not material, they can choose to not to disclose it, but explanation should be given on it. The reason of non-disclosure information are such as the information is considered not material, there are constraints, prohibition, or because of the information itself are not available. The second alternative that can be considered by SOGO is to not comply with the comply or explain provision. However, SOGO company is listed under Hong Kong Exchange, so SOGO should follow the new amendment made by Hong Kong Exchange on the disclosure of information. If SOGO choose not to comply with this approach, they may violating the listing rule under Hong Kong Exchange, and one day they may be terminated from listed under Hong Kong Exchange. Therefore, our recommended solution is for SOGO to comply with the comply or explain provision. The decision has been made based on the decision criteria to evaluate the level of compliance with Hong Kong Exchange requirement. So the action plan that can be taken by ESG committee is to apply this approach when preparing ESG report. First, ESG committee need to identify information that are material and disclose it. And on the other hand, if the information cannot be disclosed, SOGO need to explain the reason why such information cannot be disclosed. That's all for me. Thank you.
My name is LOOI, metric number 252573. Next, we'll discuss on how we can solve the third problem at SOGO, which is how to improve the sustainable consumption awareness among consumers in the long term instead of just organizing one-off campaigns. So in order to solve this problem, we have a decision criteria and a few alternative solutions. So decision criteria for the solutions is the acceptability to business partners. So we all agree that in order to improve the awareness of the consumers towards sustainable consumption, SOGO will have to work together with the business partners to come up with a comprehensive plan in order to maximize the impact onto the consumers' behavior. But at the same time, we have to understand the acceptability of the proposals to the business partners because they have a varying level of awareness towards sustainable consumption. And so from here, SOGO will have to figure out whether one single plan will fit all the business partners and how they can manage all the parties' needs and interests. This is, of course, especially related to the fashion apparel industry, whereby they have their own set of practice and HIG index as reference as well. Whereas for home appliances vendor, they do not have much reference on sustainability practice, and that is why one single plan may not be able to fit the goal of these two different industries and others as well. So following from these decision criteria, we have two alternative solutions. So the first one is to hire an external environmental consultant. So by this we mean that we will encourage or we will suggest to SOGO to hire an external environmental consultant to come up with a comprehensive plan on how they can improve the awareness of sustainable consumption to the consumers. So what they can do is they can help to collect data and come up with a plan to be presented at SOGO. So of course, the benefit of this solution is that since they have the expertise, so the failure risk of this project is most likely to be lower. Other than that, they can also reduce ESG committee's burden because right now ESG committee, they will have to amend their ESG report by following the reporting guideline as well as performing materiality assessments too. So they may not have the capacity to come up with a long-term solution for the company for the long run. And hence, if they are able to outsource for a consultant to help to do this project, then this will definitely help them to ease their burden and worries as well. And the second solution is to require the business partners to come up with a long-term business framework. So basically, this is to we suggest SOGO to require all the business partners to come up with a plan that is suited to their own business on how they can improve the sustainable consumption practice among their consumers. So by this, each vendor's business model and their business goal can be taken into account. They can figure out what works best for them, because it will very much have to do with the production and the supply chain as well. Not only that, if they're able to come up with a great marketing campaign and marketing story, they can also build a good branding amongst their consumers too. In terms of acceptability, we do think that the first option will be less acceptable than the second one. This is because in the first option, the fashion apparel industry, for example, they may have more opinions and says, so they may have more power to how the solution is going to be compared to companies which have a lower experience in sustainability practice, such as the home appliance vendor. So we can see that there is a difference in power that can be exerted onto how the plan is going to be if we were to hire an external consultant to carry out this long-term plan. Whereas for this second solution, it is definitely much more acceptable, because each business partner, they get to carry out this project according to their own means, according to the resources that they have and the connections that they have. And hence, the fashion apparel, for example, their awareness campaign or the project that they have may be at a larger scale compared to a starter such as the home appliance vendor. And there is no competition between them, because they are all having different types of ideas as well compared to the first option. So that is why we will recommend going for the second option by requiring each of the business partners to come up with their own sustainable consumption awareness long-term plan instead. So what they will do is that they will have to come up with the proposals to practice or spread sustainable consumption at workplace to their consumers, and they'll have to lead by example. And we also think that the discussion and negotiation should be done within 6 months between ESG committee and business partners, so that the committee, they can help to outline any improvement or any compliance to the ESG reporting guideline. And we also suggest that the discussion with the business partners is done according to the industry, and they have to work closely in curating different initiatives accordingly. Of course, we do understand that this recommended solution will not be well received by all the business partners, because each vendor will have their own business goal, and some may just be purely profit driven, and hence they are doing it at the expense of the environment, and they may not be able to comprehend the importance of practicing sustainable consumption. And so we do have a contingency plan for SOGO, which is to provide a bare minimum choice or minimum requirement for the vendors to implement long-term sustainable consumption awareness to the consumers. So what we mean by bare minimum requirement is, for example, SOGO can request or require all the business partners in SOGO to provide eco-friendly or compostable packaging for products, so that they are practicing some sort of practice that can influence the consumer's behavior, even though it is at a very small scale. And we hope that through this kind of practice, it will help to shape and inspire these business partners who may not want to be a part of this initiative to come and join SOGO to improve the sustainable consumption practice among the consumers. So that is all from us. Thank you.